Dear students, how are you? I think all of you are well by the grace of the Almighty. Today, I will take your class on WH questions. Today's topic, WH question for BA Honors first year, BA, BCom and BSc students. It's a compulsory item for you, WH questions. WH questions, how to make WH question, at first you have to know about how to turn assertive sentences into interrogative. You know it very well that to turn any assertive sentences into interrogative, you have to, from assertive to interrogative, you have to look at the sentence whether there is any auxiliary verb or not. If there is any auxiliary verb, you have to put it before the subject. But for WH questions, there are several criteria, such as there will be any sentence, Mr. Rohim is a doctor. Mr. Rohim is a doctor. To turn this sentence into interrogative, the auxiliary verb is will be at first, and if as the sentence is affirmative, we have to turn it into negative interrogative, isn't it? Mr. Rohim a doctor. Isn't Mr. Rohim a doctor? It's the interrogative form of Mr. Rohim is a doctor. But for WH questions, we have to bring WH words. At first, we have to know about WH words such as who. It sits in a state of personification and its meaning is when we use who, কে, যখন কোনো ব্যক্তি সম্পর্কে জানতে চাওয়া হয়. Who, it may be like who, there are several WH questions. Who, person, when, time, where, place, place, who, when, where, why, reason, how, the way, by how, the way, how we have completed any task, how we have performed any task, etc. The way, by how, who, when, where, why, how, all this. There are also several another WH questions that we have to use for WH questions, and we have to bring any WH question and we have to delete any form, either noun, pronoun, etc., and by which we have to use the WH question, and the answer of that very WH question will be omitted from the sentence, given sentence. It's the main criteria of WH question. We will bring any WH word and the answer of that very WH word will be omitted from the given sentence. At first, Mr. Rohini is a doctor. We can use who instead of Mr. Rohini. Who is a doctor? We have omitted Mr. Rohini from the sentence and we have made a question. To ask about Mr. Rohini. Who is a doctor? Then the answer will be Mr. Rohini is a doctor. Next, we can use another word, what. What is then the word, the phrase a doctor, and the answer of what, a doctor, will be omitted from here. Then what is Mr. Rohini? What is Mr. Rohini? At first, we asked a WH question by omitting Mr. Rohini, and then the question was who? Who is a doctor? Next, what is Mr. Rohini? And its answer will be that Mr. Rohini is, what is Mr. Rohini? Mr. Rohini is a doctor. And these two WH questions are appropriate. We can make WH question either by using who, by using what, for this sentence. Mr. Rohini is a doctor. Next question we have to make. Next sentence, he lives in Dhaka. He lives in Dhaka. We have to make another WH question by using this. Here, there is no name, no noun. We can use the place. So instead of place, we have to bring where. And there is no auxiliary verb. And if there is no auxiliary verb at that time, we have to, instead of WH words, after WH words, we have to bring do, does or did for making the sentence interrogative. So, he lives in Dhaka. Where does he live? Where does he live? He lives in Dhaka. Where does he live? If we make the sentence enlarge, if we enlarge the sentence, he lives in Dhaka for 5 years. For 5 years. Instead of Dhaka, then we can take 5 years. How long? How long does he live in Dhaka? Then 5 years. This time, this period will be omitted. How long does he live in Dhaka? Where does he live? It may be any answer. Or how long does he live? Both of these sentences are correct. For he lives in Dhaka for 5 years. For the WH question of this sentence, both of these are correct. So, how do we have to do to make WH questions? At first, we have to find whether the sentence has any auxiliary verb or not. Next, if there is no auxiliary verbs, we have to use do, does or did. do, does or did to make it interrogative. But at first we have to put WH word. We know it that if there is any WH word, it sits at the beginning, at the starting of the sentence. So we have to use WH words at first. And how you will be able to bring WH words? You will make question to the sentence and you will omit something, some information from the sentence. When you will omit some information from the sentence, you will get WH question instead of it. And so at first you have to omit some information. If you omit the information of any personification, any person, you have to use who. Any place, you have to use where. Any time, you have to use when. And any reason, you have to use why. For the way of performing anything or any job, you have to use how. So, if you use, there are more and more WH words such as how much, how long, how old, to ask age, etc. At first, you have to use WH words. It will sit at the starting. At the starting, WH words at first. Next, number 2, auxiliary verb or do, does or did. Either auxiliary verbs or do, does, did. At first, you have to put WH words. Then auxiliary verbs do, does or did. Next, number 3. After the WH words, auxiliary verbs, you have to omit. What you have to omit the answer of the WH word. The answer of the WH word, you have to omit it from the sentence. Otherwise, it will not be correct. You have to use auxiliary words or do, does. You have to use WH words. And just after it, you have to use question mark. And thus, you will be able to complete WH questions. So, in our next class, we will discuss about another topic. And you will try to practice WH questions at home. And if you have any question, you will ask me. You will phone me, and I will help you to know about it. And if you have any question, you will ask me. Okay, thank you everybody.